Hi, family. This is day 82 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're in the book of 1 Samuel and we're covering chapters 19 through 21. Now, David has arrived on the scene as the anointed king of Israel, but he has not officially taken over as king of Israel. Saul is still on the throne, and we just witnessed yesterday how David killed Goliath, and everybody loves him, and Saul even loves him, and Saul's son Jonathan loves him and gives him his robe and his weapons, like this showing of allegiance, and makes a covenant with David. And Saul's daughter Michal loves David, and Saul gives her to David as a wife. So David is just like up in the family. Like he is in the family. He's basically in a position to be the next king in line, and everybody loves him, and he's a great warrior, and he's winning all these battles. And what is it, the women who dance and sing with the tambourines, and they say Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s, and Saul starts to be like, wait, no, like I should get credit too. But he's starting to see that everybody's looking at David now and loving David. And so Saul's starting to have some issues with him. So let's see where that heads today. Shaul spoke to Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Shaul's son, greatly delighted in David. Jonathan told David, saying, Shaul, my father, seeks to kill you. Now therefore please take care of yourself in the morning. Live in a secret place and hide yourself. I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will talk with my father about you, and if I see anything, I will tell you. Jonathan spoke good of David to Shaul his father, and said to him, Don't let the king sin against his servant, against David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his works have been very good toward you. For he put his life in his hand and struck the Philistine, and Yahweh worked a great victory for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood to kill David without a cause? Shaul listened to the voice of Jonathan, and Shaul swore, As Yahweh lives, he shall not be put to death. Jonathan called David, and Jonathan showed him all those things. Then Jonathan brought David to Shaul, and he was in his presence as before. There was war again. David went out and fought with the Philistines, and killed them with a great slaughter, and they fled before him. An evil spirit from Yahweh was on Shaul as he sat in his house with his spear in his hand, and David was playing music with his hand. Shaul sought to pin David to the wall with the spear, but he slipped away out of Shaul's presence, and he stuck the spear into the wall. David fled and escaped that night. Shaul sent messengers to David's house to watch him and to kill him in the morning. Michal, David's wife, told him, saying, If you don't save your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. So Michal let David down through the window. He went away, fled, and escaped. Michal took the teraphim and laid it in the bed, and put a pillow of goat's hair at its head, and covered it with clothes. When Shaul sent messengers to take David, she said, He is sick. Shaul sent the messengers to see David, saying, Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may kill him. When the messengers came in, behold, the teraphim was in the bed, with the pillow of goat's hair at its head. Shaul said to Michal, Why have you deceived me like this, and let my enemy go, so that he has escaped? Michal answered Shaul, He said to me, Let me go, why should I kill you? Now David fled and escaped, and came to Shamuel Ramah, and told him all that Shaul had done to him. He and Shamuel went and lived in Nayaot. Shaul was told, saying, Behold, David is in Nayaot, in Ramah. Shaul sent messengers to seize David, and when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Shamuel standing as head over them, God's Spirit came on Shaul's messengers, and they also prophesied. When Shaul was told, he sent other messengers, and they also prophesied. Shaul sent messengers again a third time, and they also prophesied. Then he also went to Ramah, and came to the great well that is in Seku, and he asked, Where are Shamuel and David? One said, Behold, they are at Nayaot in Ramah. He went there to Nayaot and Ramah. Then God's Spirit came on him also, and he went on and prophesied until he came to Nayaot in Ramah. He also stripped off his clothes. He also prophesied before Shamuel, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Therefore they say, Is Shaul also among the prophets? David fled from Nayaot and Ramah, and came and said to Jonathan, What have I done? What is my iniquity? What is my sin before your father, that he seeks my life? He said to him, Far from it, you will not die. Behold, my father does nothing either great or small, but that he discloses it to me. Why would my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. David swore moreover and said, Your father knows well that I have found favor in your eyes, and he says, Don't let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death. Then Jonathan said to David, Whatever your soul desires, I will even do it for you. David said to Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to dine with the king. But let me go that I may hide myself in the field to the third day at evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me that he might run to Bethlehem, his city, for it is the yearly sacrifice there for all the family. If he says, It is well, your servant shall have peace. But if he is angry, then know that evil is determined by him. Therefore deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of Yahweh with you. But if there is iniquity in me, kill me yourself. For why should you bring me to your father? Jonathan said, Far be it from you, for if I should at all know that evil were determined by my father to come on you, then wouldn't I tell you that? Then David said to Jonathan, Who will tell me if your father answers you roughly? Jonathan said to David, Come, let's go out into the field. They both went out into the field. Jonathan said to David, By Yahweh, the God of Israel, when I have sounded out my father about this time tomorrow or the third day, behold, if there is good toward David, won't I then send to you and disclose it to you? Yahweh do so to Jonathan, and more also, should it please my father to do you evil, if I don't disclose it to you and send you away, that you may go in peace. May Yahweh be with you as he has been with my father. You shall not only show me the loving kindness of Yahweh while I still live, that I not die, but you shall also not cut off your kindness from my house forever. No, not when Yahweh has cut off every one of the enemies of David from the surface of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with David's house, saying, Yahweh will require it at the hand of David's enemies. Jonathan caused David to swear again for the love that he had to him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to him, Tomorrow is the new moon, and you will be missed, because your seat will be empty. When you have stayed 3 days, go down quickly and come to the place where you had hid yourself when this started, and remain by the stone Etzel. I will shoot 3 arrows on its side as though I shot at the mark. Behold, I will send the boy, saying, Go find the arrows. If I tell the boy, Behold, the arrows are on this side of you, take them, then come, for there is peace to you and no danger, as Yahweh lives. But if I say to this boy, Behold, the arrows are beyond you, then go your way, for Yahweh has sent you away. Concerning the matter which you and I have spoken of, behold, Yahweh is between you and me forever. So David hid himself in the field. When the new moon had come, the king sat himself down to eat food. The king sat on his seat as at the other times, even on the seat by the wall, and Jonathan stood up, and Avner sat by Shaul's side. But David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Shaul didn't say anything that day, for he thought, Something has happened to him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. On the next day after the new moon, the second day, David's place was empty. Shaul said to Jonathan his son, Why didn't the son of Yishai come to eat, either yesterday or today? Jonathan answered Shaul, David earnestly asked permission of me to go to Bethlehem. He said, Please let me go, for our family has a sacrifice in the city. My brother has commanded me to be there. Now if I have found favor in your eyes, please let me go away and see my brothers. Therefore he has not come to the king's table. Then Shaul's anger burned against Jonathan, and he said to him, You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, don't I know that you have chosen the son of Yishai to your own shame, and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Yishai lives on the earth, you will not be established, nor will your kingdom. Therefore now send and bring him to me, for he shall surely die. Jonathan answered Shaul his father, and said to him, Why should he be put to death? What has he done? Shaul cast his spear at him to strike him. By this Jonathan knew that his father was determined to put David to death. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and ate no food the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had treated him shamefully. In the morning Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and a little boy with him. He said to his boy, Run, find now the arrows which I shoot. As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy had come to the place of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan cried after the boy and said, Isn't the arrow beyond you? Yonathan cried after the boy, "Go fast! Hurry! Don't delay!" Yonathan's boy gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the boy didn't know anything. Only Yonathan and David knew the matter. Yonathan gave his weapons to the boy and said to him, "Go, carry them to the city." As soon as the boy was gone, David arose out of the south and fell on his face to the ground and bowed himself 3 times. They kissed one another and wept with one another, and David wept the most. Yonathan said to David, "Go in peace, because we have both sworn in Yahweh's name, saying, Yahweh is between me and you, and between my offspring and your offspring forever." He arose and departed, and Yonathan went into the city. Then David came to Nov, to Ahimelech the priest. Ahimelech came to meet David trembling and said to him, "Why are you alone and no man with you?" David said to Ahimelech the priest, "The king has commanded me to do something, and has said to me, Let no one know anything about the business about which I send you, and what I have commanded you. I have sent the young men to a certain place. Now, therefore, what is under your hand? Please give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or whatever is available." The priest answered David and said, "I have no common bread, but there is holy bread, if only the young men have kept themselves from women." David answered the priest and said to him, "Truly, women have been kept from us as usual these 3 days. When I came out, the vessels of the young men were holy, though it was only a common journey. How much more than today shall their vessels be holy?" So the priest gave him holy bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread that was taken from before Yahweh, to be replaced with hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Shaul was there that day, detained before Yahweh, and his name was Doeg the Edomite, the best of the herdsmen who belonged to Shaul. David said to Ahimelech, "Isn't there here under your hand spear or sword? For I haven't brought my sword or my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste." The priest said, "Behold, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you would like to take that, take it. For there is no other except that here." David said, "There is none like that. Give it to me." David arose and fled in that day for fear of Shaul, and went to Achish the king of Gath. The servants of Achish said to him, "Isn't this David the king of the land? Didn't they sing to one another about him in dances, saying, 'Shaul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s?'" David laid up these words in his heart, and was very afraid of Achish the king of Gath. He changed his behavior before them, and pretended to be insane in their hands, and scribbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down on his beard. Then Achish said to his servants, "Look, you see the man is insane. Why then have you brought him to me? Do I lack madmen, that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Should this fellow come into my house?" So we're seeing this whole brokenness between Saul and David, and Saul definitely wants to kill David, and David finally realizes that's the case, right? He gets the spear thrown at him, and so he's trying to talk to Jonathan about it, and Jonathan's like, "No, my dad wouldn't want to kill you. I would know. He would tell me if he thought that you were a threat or something." And so David and Jonathan come up with this plan for Jonathan to see whether or not Saul wants to kill David, and in that process, Jonathan makes Saul so angry that Saul throws a spear at Jonathan, right? His own blood son. And it's at that point that Jonathan really realizes that Saul wants to kill David, and it hurts Jonathan's heart, man, because Jonathan loves David so much, thinks of him as his own brother, right? Married to his sister, made covenant with him, showed some allegiance to him, which we really love Jonathan in these stories, because Jonathan was the actual blood born of Saul, has the technical earthly right to be king, but because of who David is, like, he has allegiance to David and wants David to be on the throne, and they make a covenant together so that their offspring will never be in conflict, right? Jonathan and David, and we're going to see that play out later with Mephibosheth, which I think is a beautiful story, tears up a little bit, but we're not there yet. So I'll move on, because in this last chapter in 21, we have this moment where David's on the run from Saul, and he shows up to Nov, N-O-B. Yep, Nov, to Ahimelech the priest, and asks, like, "Do you have any food on hand?" And the priest says, "We only have the showbread that's reserved for God." And David's like, "Sweet, I'll take it." And the priest is like, "Okay, but just as long as you and your men haven't been near a woman." And David's like, No, we're totally clean. It'll be fine. And they take the bread and they eat. And this is the story that Jesus references in Mark. Jesus talks about it. He refers to Abiathar, the priest of the day, which does make for a conflict between the two, because in the account in First Samuel here, it's Ahimelech that's the priest, and Jesus says in Mark it's Abiathar, and so there could be a discrepancy because Abiathar and Ahimelech are either father and son. They're one or the other, right? Either Ahimelech is the father of Abiathar, or Abiathar is the father of Ahimelech, or they're related in the same household or something or other. And so we don't exactly know what text Jesus is referring to, like which copy of the Old Testament, which translation, Septuagint, what or whatever, oral translation, oral tradition. We don't know what Jesus is referring to in Mark, or even if the author of Mark even got that detail wrong. However, they are related, and it's not really that big of a discrepancy. Because the point that Jesus is trying to make is that in that story where David eats the showbread because he and his men are hungry, like they don't have anything to eat, it's okay, right? That bread is only for the priests to eat, but it's okay. That's Jesus' point. And Jesus is making the point because he's talking about the Sabbath and how the Sabbath is not just, it isn't there so that you have to rest and you can't help anybody, and it's the Sabbath is about people. It's about people replenishing themselves and being better. And that's why when Jesus heals on the Sabbath, it doesn't break Sabbath law, right? Because Sabbath is made for man, not man for the Sabbath, right? Sabbath is a tool that God instituted in his people so that they would rest and know that they are free and not slaves. And Jesus is totally aware of that and taking advantage of that, and that's why he's not shy to heal people on the Sabbath. It's not work that is to make your own name great, right? It's work to heal people and lift people up, just like what David and his men needed. They needed food because they did not have anything to eat, so it was okay for them to eat the showbread. But this is the story that Jesus is referring to in Mark, and so it's a good story, good reading for today. I guess I will see you tomorrow, but I hope you have a wonderful day.